As we suspected, Jack Eichel should earn more than Mitch Marner in the upcoming contract extension, according to a report. Details come your way next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. From Las Vegas, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. I am a longtime sportscaster, marketing consultant, and the host of the Believe in Vegas podcast. And Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Now, coming up ahead today, later on, we'll talk about Pavel Dorofeyev and when will they start to get to talking about a contract extension for Doro. And also Jared McCann, a name that's out there floating around, and perhaps VGK might be showing some interest there. We are brought to you today by Monarch Money. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll receive 50% off of your first year at monarchmoney.com. So, Chris, Elliot Friedman reporting on Wednesday that something is happening that we perhaps already knew, and we've talked about this a lot. Jack Eichel's contract will be surpassing Mitch Marner's, and his deal, Marner, was 8 times 12. And thanks again to AFP Analytics, who had that number out there, the projected salary range of $12.5 million to $14 million a year. And Friedman obviously knows an approximation, a number. Somebody floated him a number. It was leaked to him, perhaps. And Friedman says maybe about 12.5 to 13 million times 8 for Eichel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, the contract needs to be more than Mitch Marner's because this is still, yes, Mark Stone's the captain, but this is Jack Eichel's team. Make no mistake about that. Eichel will be here much longer after Mark Stone as well. $12.5 million just seems to be a perfect number. 8 years, $100 million, lock this thing up. You know Eichel is in town right now. He has his hockey camp going on over at City National Arena. And then, of course, on Saturday is the softball game. So my assumption, is this might be the first time some discussions have begun. Eichel, of course, was out east leading up to this week. So maybe the two sides just decided to take a break for a little bit. And here's Eichel in town right now. And I put a poll out there. I said July 12th, 2 days from now, the day of his charity softball game, maybe is one of the key dates for when a contract extension could possibly be mentioned. It's pretty simple. If it's 12.5 times 8, Eichel's taking a little bit of a team-friendly deal, a little bit of tax considerations in there. If he goes for $13.5, $14 million, he's looking to get that extra cheddar, and I can't blame him for that, but I think Eichel sees the long term, and even though it's $1 or $1.5 million a season, that $1 or $1.5 million a season, the way VGK plays the salary cap, Jack knows that the entire salary cap is in play. It would help Jack to get another Stanley Cup if he kept it in the 12.5 to 13 range.
On the open market, I'm so curious to see what the value of Jack Eichel would be. It would be minimum 13 would be my guess.
13 for a team that's probably up against the cap, looking to make a splash and get that last piece. A team that has cap space like an Anaheim, a San Jose, and those kind of up-and-coming type teams, they can probably push it to $14 million if that's where you wanted to get to.
Wow, and crazy. And you just sometimes wonder if he could just get out there and then return to VGK, but just to see what his actual value might be.
That wouldn't be good because it'd be sayonara Jack then.
Yeah, it would be sayonara Jack. Okay, so does this deal get done this summer? That's a question that we've been discussing. We know that the negotiations began here within the last couple of weeks. That's what we were told. And so does this deal get done this summer?
Shea Theodore's situation wound up being the surprise. I want to see when he got his extension announced. I feel like it was into the season.
It was in the season, yeah. It was into the season.
So, yeah, that's the thing. So, you hope that it doesn't go far into the season. If it does, if it gets into the season, that means there's trouble. That means there's a big enough gap where the two sides are like, okay, we're going to take our time with this, and that certainly would not be a good thing. October 24th, so about 2 weeks into the season for the Shea Theodore extension, so not too far. But again, people, we expected a possible trade for Theodore. Of course, this was about the time we started our first Marner madness and Marner Monday, wondering if a Theodore Mitch Marner deal was going to come together. Man, I wonder how the Leafs feel about passing up on that right now, huh? Oof.
Yeah, for sure.
They got Nick Waugh. Life is good, right? They got Nick Waugh. So
life is great.
I mean, get this thing done before they get back to training camp. So Jack's not, I won't say constantly ask questions, because I know how things work. The media will not constantly ask him questions about it, because the Golden Knights won't want him to, and they'll tell the media not to ask too many questions about it. Trust me on this one. But you don't want this thing going past the start of training camp. And I think it'd be amazing if just during the softball game, there was an insane announcement from Bruce Cusick saying, okay, good news, everybody. I think that would be a pretty cool moment.
Meanwhile, Eichel telling the Hockey News, I'm sure that Willie Ramirez and his friends that were on that podcast were told not to ask about an extension. That's the way things go.
Yeah, he tiptoed it.
Eichel told the Hockey News that he can relate to some of the things that Mitch Marner is going through because of the way that Eichel left Buffalo. And we talked about this. A lot of similarities between these two players.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you ask a Leafs fan, it's a completely separate situation. I was jumping through Twitter this morning, kind of reading comments and thoughts from Toronto on what Eichel said. And an interesting statement was allegedly, Mitch Marner was offered the highest contract in Leafs history and said, sayonara, I'm good, to come to Vegas for a chance to win a cup, a chance to get out of that market and everything. But yeah, Eichel, I mean, not a great situation in Buffalo, but it wasn't as much about the fans or interactions or his locker room things. Eichel wanted to get a certain kind of surgery to repair his body, and the Buffalo Sabres felt there was too much of a risk as far as their asset goes. And when you're a player, you're essentially property of your employer in the National Hockey League, and the Buffalo Sabres felt what Eichel wanted to do was too risky, and Eichel was like, no, I think I want to do this, and Vegas was accepting of it, and that's kind of how that whole situation played out. So, yes, there's some similarities, but it's maybe not as similar as people think. But at the end of the day, you're going to have two fan bases that are pretty pissed off watching their superstars go away. Eichel went through it and lived it, and he won a Stanley Cup too, something the Leafs haven't done since '67. So hopefully Marner can have the same results in Vegas.
Oh, it's going to be crazy in Toronto every time, just like what we see in Buffalo for Eichel. Every time Marner touches the puck,
it's going to be rabid. It's going to be venomous.
I think it's going to be worse in Toronto.
There's going to be extra security following the Golden Knights besides their main security person. That game will be something else, and you could pencil that in for one of the national TV games, Tony.
And a certain PR person might have been fired, perhaps, for bringing Eichel out to the media in Buffalo. I wonder if the same will happen in Toronto with Marner. Did I just say that? Eichel said that he admires and respects Mitch Marner, said that everyone that knows Marner says good things about him. One of the things that stood out about Marner in one of those interviews was just the fact that he had mentioned that he and his wife like to entertain the other players and bring them over to their house and kind of bond together. And this is a guy, again, malcontent, according to several reports there in Toronto. Man, I can't imagine the microscope that Mitch Marner was under there in Toronto.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, the Toronto media is significantly different than not just Vegas, but any other media market. It's a major market. It's, hockey is deep roots back to the beginning, basically, in Toronto, where it's a new in many other cities, not just Vegas. But so that's one of the big differences. But again, it doesn't mean the media situations between the two cities are it's not, the pressure doesn't change just because he comes to Vegas and the media is a little bit different.
They're soft. It's soft here, man. He's not going to have any issues.
Well, fine. I mean, your line, not my line, but what I will say is the pressure to perform in Vegas
is
equal to or greater than Toronto.
It's on
Make no
him.
mistake.
It's on the team. It's on the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up next, after Jack Eichel secures his contract, the next domino to fall, where's the extension for Pavel Dorofeyev? We'll get to that as we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. The Stanley Cup playoffs, of course, they just happened here. And of course, we spent a lot of money on prop bets for that. Ever check your bank account and you start to wonder, where did all my money go? Prop bets, of course, here in Vegas. And there's dining out. And there's online shopping, which I'm just addicted to.
Trip to Cold Stone last night, $40 for ice cream.
And there's entertainment. It's easy to lose track for ice cream and things like that. So that's where Monarch Money comes in. It is your personal CFO, and it gives you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's complete financial command center. So check it out, of course, and it can help you to stop just managing your money. It can help to start to build your wealth. So when I started to use Monarch, found out all these subscriptions that I applied to, I had to get rid of about 5 or 6 of them. Don't know why I subscribed and forgot to go back and unsubscribe. So instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch. You can check out your finances today. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com. You'll receive 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for half off of your first year. A little chippy today. I am.
Remember the Married with Children, the GIF, Al Bundy? I have no money. That's what I see every time you start that Monarch Money read, just so you know.
I almost went off the rails there talking about my prop bets. We appreciate everyone making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast, and please subscribe. It's free. Our subscription is free to Locked On Golden Knights. So there was a lot of talk about VGK's Pavel Dorofeyev, right, getting a contract extension as we headed into this offseason. And he's on the final year of a 2-year contract, which was worth close to $2 million a year. In all estimations, that number is going to soar. Dorofeyev, just 24 years old. His birthday is in October. He's a Scorpio there for you, Mr. Golick. He had a career high of 35 goals, 52 points this past season, played in every regular season game, and then, of course, was injured in the playoffs. But we've heard estimates of around $7 million a year. Yes, the cap is expanding, but how high will that contract be? And when do they get started? Right after, obviously, Eichel is secured. But again, this is going into the final year of his contract, and you don't want to wait too long for a player like Dorofeyev to get him locked down.
Tomas Hertl, the Golden Knights are on the hook for 6.75, and then Mark Stone 9.5, Eichel 10, going to be going up, obviously. Marner 12, Pietrangelo, forget about Theodore 7.4, Hannafin 7.3. So can the Golden Knights, sustainable buzzword obviously in these parts, can the Golden Knights have a sustainable roster when you have 7 or 8 players encompassing AAVs of 6.75 or higher? That's, I guess, the first question. It's even with the salary cap going up, that's going to make you swallow and gulp a little bit when you think about that, because you look at the Leafs, they had their core 4, was that $50 million or something like that between those 4 players. You look at what's happening in Edmonton. By the way, both those teams are not recent Stanley Cup winners. The Golden Knights, when they were a Stanley Cup winner, Eichel had that $10 million AAV hit, and I don't think anyone else was anywhere close to that. So you wonder if this is the right path. Now, how do you not find a way to extend Dorofeyev? The answer is you don't. You find a way to extend Dorofeyev. Curious to see if what happens this season. I don't think an extension is coming anytime soon, number one. If Dorofeyev comes back with 22 goals, that's when McCrimmon swoops in and sits down. Okay, let's lock you up for 5-6 years, kid, and they try and figure it out. If Dorofeyev has another 35-goal season, which is very likely with the arrival of Mitch Marner and Dorofeyev's chemistry with the rest of the team, then I think you're looking at another 1, maybe 2, but probably 1-year deal under his current RFA status, which, by the way, Golden Knights have control over Pavel Dorofeyev. I say control. He's not going to be a UFA until the 28-29 season. So that's still 3 more seasons as far as RFA status, which gives the Golden Knights a little bit more control.
And, I'm always concerned about players coming off of a career season.
Oh, trust me, we know.
Yeah, I really am. And prior to this
When
season,
Carlson puts up another 40-goal season, man, you're gonna that hat's gonna do spins. You're gonna be doing Linda Blair, exorcism crap. It's gonna be great.
that
Anyway,
would
keep
mean
going.
that would mean 40 like humongous tweets, and I'll probably get some good clout out of that too every time he scores a goal. Prior to this season, Dorofeyev played in just 67 games. Again, there's a little bit of a concern there in the NHL, a little bit of concern about that career season and that one-hit wonder sort of a thing. I know every contract, I think this is going to be a difficult negotiation. I could see Dorofeyev going, yet, 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 yet. That's no, I guess in Russian. Yeah, I could see him playing the leveraging game. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. A 30-goal scoring left winger is something that the Golden Knights don't have besides Dorofeyev. Although we might talk about someone who can help the Golden Knights third wing or left wing situation in the third segment there. If I'm Dorofeyev, I mean, you look at his salary situation, RFA deal to currently making 1.835, which is crumbs right now. That's absolute crumbs as far as what 35 goal scorers are getting paid around the NHL. And you could see a 7x7 type of deal for him materialize should Dorofeyev have a very strong year this season. And I don't think anyone would be against locking him up or even throw out that 8-year. I mean, again, 8-year deals. I know there's concerns on both sides of it, but you tell me that the Golden Knights might have 8 years of Marner, Eichel, Dorofeyev, and if something else winds up happening with Rasmus Anderson, with Jared McCann even, or whatever, that's a pretty nice core to have. You have Tomas Hertl for 5 more seasons, 5 of those 8 seasons as well. You have Shea Theodore all the way through 2032. You have Noah Hanifin for 2032. So you keep this Stanley Cup window open theoretically until 2029, 2030 by locking up players like Dorofeyev and Jack Eichel for long term, which is insane. I know Fitz is still waiting over there in San Jose for the Golden Knights empire to crumble, and it ain't happening. It's not happening.
It would have without Marner.
Fine.
Without Marner,
they got Marner. Good.
I'll say that.
Good.
I think there shouldn't be, again, back to Eichel, there shouldn't be any issues there. And if they put an offer like right now of 12.5 times 8, does Eichel just sign it and we're done?
I hope so. I hope it's not an up and back negotiation. I mean, and McCrimmon's not going to say, okay, here's 12 million. You're the same as Marner. Here you go. I think that'd be asinine. You got to wonder. I mean, I think
at 11. He's a tough negotiator. He's going to start at 11 million. He might go back to 10.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Just to see where he's at.
Hardball. He plays hardball. We know.
Put out a little feeler bet. No, I don't think so. I think McCrimmon knows that this situation shouldn't be that difficult. Eichel's roots are here. He's involved in the community. It would be again, we don't know where Eichel's mindset is. Eichel has said other things in the past about what's best for him and his family and everything, and no different than what McDavid set up in Edmonton and everything. So if he is thinking he's 14 or 15 million AAV, then yeah, this is where McCrimmon's going to have to talk him off the ledge, so to speak. And, and if you want 15 million, you might be going to San Jose in 2 years. And, that's the threat that you put out there, and not just San Jose, but any other team where he's not going to be in the same scenario. So I think 12.5 or 13 should be an easy deal for the team side. If Eichel's willing to do that, that's the other question. And we honestly don't know. We honestly don't know if he's willing to go 100 million for 8 years or 104 million for 8 years. We don't know where Eichel's mindset is.
Yeah, and if you're Dorofeyev, I'm sure Kelly McCrimmon, first thing he might say there for some leveraging purposes is, hey, Doro, you went south or whatever. It's still south, probably Russia from Las Vegas to Bruce Cassidy. You went south during the playoffs, -7, 2 points, 1 goal. Yes, a little bit banged up, but you still want someone to produce at playoff time.
100%.
Coming up next, why might the Seattle Kraken be shopping Jared McCann? That's a
Those are
name that's
idiots.
out there. It's floating. Coming up next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back. Locked On Golden Knights for this Thursday. My voice came back. It was a little shaky earlier. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. And please make sure to leave all of your terrific comments on tomorrow's show. Last week, we had one that went a little bit off the rails, but it was fine. It's par for the course for us. What the Fridays tomorrow? Please leave your messages. Saturdays, sometimes the Chris Times Chris Jr. show. And you and little Chris are going out to the Battle for Vegas this weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a fun affair, and we'll be there hanging out, shagging some fly balls in left field maybe during Home Run Derby, and we'll catch we always get to the parking lot when the fireworks show starts, so that way we can get right out of Dodge when the thing is over. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's happening this weekend, and tonight there is an appearance, we might add, at Topgolf with Ryan Reeves, who was phenomenal on Cam and Strick.
I want to see Revo swing a golf club.
Oh, he's a monster. He's a
Happy
monster.
Gilmore style, you think?
And Riley Smith too. No, I bet you he's a really good athlete.
Riley Smith is probably much more technical, probably a lot better around the greens. Plays, Riley Smith lays up. There you go. Riley Smith lays up.
He definitely lays up, and I bet you there's some skill to Ryan Reeves' game. I'll almost bet that. And also, Revo saying yesterday,
take off your shirt and have a 7.5 beer in your hand while golfing in your flip flops. That seems like Ryan Revo style, doesn't it?
That's skill.
That is skill.
Yeah. Reeves, by the way, said that he's working out at City National like every day, skating. So you might be able to catch him there, fans.
Marley needs some grit in the AHL, I guess.
So Seattle left winger Jared McCann, that name pops up, floating around everywhere. He has a couple of years remaining at $5 million per. Would VGK be kicking the tires, to use that term that I hate, on McCann, who had 40 goals in the 2022-23 campaign? I think my New York Rangers are in the mix, and I think VGK should enter that race. I know they told Barbashev, okay, hey, we're going to keep you, whatever. But if you get a Jared McCann who has played 82 games, Chris, this past season, and 80 last year, plus 79 3 seasons ago. He's durable, and he could score goals. So I'm just wondering why the Kraken already are trying to make some moves. $5 million is not a ton in salary cap space there.
I don't understand the path of the Kraken right now. They built through the draft talking about Matty Beniers and Shane Wright and Ty Cartier, Winterton, a bunch of players that are kind of in that up and coming. And you add a piece like Chandler Stevenson. I know he meets the Roger Dorn criteria. Forgot about Stevenson because he's only high priced. Well, he's a good player. 51 points, second leading scorer for the Kraken. 49 or 51 points. Either way, he was second on the Kraken as far as overall points last season. And now they got Mason Marchment. You got some other players there that look good, but what's the path of this team? They still don't have a bona fide superstar. And now they're dangling Jared McCann out there. Like, what's the return going to be that's going to help?
What would the return be? Yeah.
The Kraken's not going to be a better team without Jared McCann. And the Golden Knights, I mean, again, what are the Golden Knights going to give up? I mean, it's got to be a prospect and a pick, right? I mean, if there's going to be a type of hypothetical trades out there.
I think it's a name player because you have to shed the cap to get him here.
Well, a $5 million cap hit, so the Golden Knights would have to find a way to shed some cap as well. They'd have to basically $3.5 million, I think, or $2.5 million. Either way, the Golden Knights would have to make a pair. Hey, Zach Whitecloud, let's go. Zach Whitecloud and a pick into the Rasmus Anderson trade. But I guess the next question then is, what would the shakeup be as far as the lines? Again, we're getting real hypothetical here in the third segment on a Thursday.
We always do. Yeah.
Barbashev would go down to the third line. Brandon Sauter, Riley Smith goes down to the fourth line. And
Barbashev's still gone. in my book. I think he's still expendable.
If Barbashev got traded, that'd be amazing after all these reports that came out. And then now all of a sudden, Mitch Marner, Tomas Hertl, and Jared McCann as a line would be pretty fun. And then Eichel, Dorofeyev, and Mark Stone or something. I don't know. I mean, this is where we get to many more hypotheticals. But why would the Kraken want to get rid of Jared McCann? That salary cap hit is absolutely minuscule for his output right now. That's a $7 million plus player in free agency in 2 years, which is why McCrimmon might be like, okay, well, you want to get rid of, you want to do this. Let's get this going. Let's get something going here.
I most definitely would be doing that. It's McCann or bust time for VGK.
McCann or bust. Oh God, no.
Perhaps, I'm starting to think here out loud.
We can't get another M, Tony. We already got Marner Monday. We can't have McCann Mondays.
I'm starting to wonder, perhaps, maybe I'm digging in a little bit too deep, but maybe there was no chemistry. Aren't they on the same line? I think Chandler Stevenson and McCann, and McCann's productivity was down this past season. I think he had 22 goals, somewhere in there. And is maybe there's some chemistry issues with him and Chandler Stevenson if they're on the same line. I believe they might be on the second line there. Could be. Yeah. Could be.
No, you're onto something there, and I'm pulling up a couple things here. Number one, according to Daily Faceoff, that second line in Seattle was Stevenson, McCann, and Jordan Eberle.
Okay. Thanks for bailing me out.
Stevenson 51 points, and Eberle 42 games. Eberle was injured a lot last year, obviously. 26 points in 42 games, so down season for Eberle. So Stevenson, Seattle, they got exactly what they got in Stevenson. 50 points, very quiet 50 points, but good warm body who will give you productive minutes throughout the season. If they were looking for Stevenson to become the face of the franchise and their superstar, they're not going to get that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I believe it's going to have to be a name player, a prospect, perhaps, and a draft pick. I personally believe that. And they because McCann's name, I think initially, correct me if I'm wrong, came up around the trade deadline too. So they've been out there looking and shopping and trying to get some value for him. And I don't know what the rationale would be there. Probably there is no rationale with the Kraken. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, but it's hard to understand the path of the Kraken, right? I mean, second season with the Golden Knights Stanley Cup season, Kraken make a nice run, and they got within a blink of the conference final, I believe, that year. Correct me if I'm wrong there. We've been seeing that a lot today. And then just a massive tailspin since then, and firing what looked like a good coach who was a good fit for that organization. And it's hard to understand the identity of the Kraken. It's hard to understand the path of the Kraken. And with what's happening in the Pacific right now, I'm okay with the Kraken going backwards because the Pacific is getting tougher and tougher every day, it seems. And that's only going to be like that for the next, what the Golden Knights are doing for the next 7 or 8 years. So I'm okay with the Kraken taking a season or two to figure things out and pick a lane because the Kraken, they got their blinker on, but they don't know which blinker is on. They have both blinkers on in the left lane trying to figure out if they should exit, get off on the shoulder, if they should dart over to get off on the flamingo exit really fast.
Mason Marchmont, you spoke about him. Freddie Gaudreau was another player that they picked up here, free agency over the summer.
Fourth line center, okay,
cool. Yeah, and to me, they're just, are they retooling this? Are they going through another rebuild or what? Again, I'm just trying to figure out what the purpose is for trading the player who is the leading goal scorer and the leading points player in the history.
No, he's too good for the team. He's making the rest of the team look bad, Moneyball style. There you go.
In the long and storied history of the Seattle Flying Fish Kraken.
Well, there's that famous tweet where the Kraken story is more impressive than the Vegas Golden Knights story, but the Kraken don't get enough coverage because of the media situation up there. So, but I think the Kraken pod, as they're known as, is going to have to walk that one back for a long time because the Kraken are a half decade away from relevancy right now. I like the path of the Sharks. I like the path of the Ducks. I like the the path of the Flames. Really, the Kraken, I think, are the most misguided team in the Pacific, if not the entire West.
And if you are Kelly McCrimmon, you need to get Kraken on this one. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks so much. Yeah, it was bad. That was a little lame. Thank you so much, especially our everydayers. Tune in tomorrow, WTF Day, and much, much more. From my man, Chris Golick, Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Please take care.